A-7D. The Air Force variant went into service evaluation in April of 1968. The A-7Ds were the first Air Force subsonic fighters in 15 years. They replaced supersonic types, which had proved to have inadequate load carrying and loiter capability for the job in Vietnam. Only 72 of these Air Force variants were deployed to the war, where they performed well, not only in their attack role, but in flying search and rescue missions. In the course of one of these missions, an A-7 stayed airborne for almost 9 hours, achieved by aerial refueling and amazing pilot stamina. In spite of their limited war exposure, the Air Force planes were of major significance in the story of the Vought Corsair. The U.S. Air Force had not been content simply to buy a Navy plane. They had stipulated several upgrades and changes. These changes made an already excellent aircraft into something even better. Navy orders for the early variants had totaled 462, 199 A models, 196 Bs, and 67 Cs. These, with the 459 ordered for the Air Force, represented a major production run. But the Navy was very impressed by the changes made on the Ds and ordered a similar plane, the A-7E. Eventually, 535 of these were also built. The principal modifications in the new versions were a change of engines and a boost to the sophistication of the plane's equipment. The already remarkable accuracy of these planes now became truly phenomenal. The aircraft were very stable in flight, making them an excellent launching platform. With their new nav attack system, they excelled. This increased accuracy is believed to account for the far lighter losses in Vietnam operations with later models. They simply spent less time where it was dangerous because the job was done more quickly. In another change, the two cannon were replaced by a single Gatling gun firing 20mm ammunition. For the first time, the pilot could select a rate of fire, 4,000 rounds a minute, up to 6,000. The E models were to fly almost as many Vietnam missions as all other models combined, as the A-7s carved themselves a major part in the history of the Southeast Asian Air War. With a mission average of 2¼ hours, 90,000 sorties means that the Corsair spent well over 8,400 complete days aloft in the combat zone. When the nature of their missions is borne in mind, their loss ratio not only makes sense, but it is surprisingly low. The final Navy Corsair combat operations during the linebacker raids from May 1972 to January 1973 involved mostly the later models. The campaign was an all-out effort to subdue the North Vietnamese tactical exploitation of the Paris peace talks, and included some of the fiercest raids of the war. The Corsairs flew a lot of the most dangerous missions, against bridges and missile launch and storage sites. These sites were marked by powerful aircraft defenses, SAMs, AAA, and ground fire, rising in a ragged but extremely dangerous curtain to meet the attackers. The A-7s had a long war. The E models flew some of the last missions in the spring of 1975, when they supported the Mayaguez rescue and the Eagle Pool and frequent wind evacuations of Phnom Penh and Saigon. 2 years before, an A-7D, flying some 40 miles north of Phnom Penh, had dropped the last American-delivered ordnance of the conflict. This event occurred around noon on the 15th of August, 1973. Navy combat operations had ceased that January with the end of missions over Vietnam. The Corsairs have seen action several times since Vietnam days, over Libya, Lebanon, Grenada, and the Persian Gulf. Each time they proved their worth and the value of their continued upgrading. But it was in the Southeast Asian skies that they really made their reputation. They are not the most glamorous aircraft, but then again, glamour was not one of the specifications. They represent a fine and enduring approach to a particular type of work. They can only reasonably be assessed in the light of that job. There is no doubt at all about the excellence of their record. For Vought, hopes of further major sales overseas were not realized. The plane was twice selected by air forces, Canadian and Swiss, only to have politicians overturn the choice in favor of the cheaper and more basic Northrop F-5. In the end, only 2 foreign air forces equipped themselves with Corsairs. The Greeks bought 60 new aircraft, and the Portuguese bought 50 that had been refurbished. The Greek planes, designated A7H, are essentially A7Es built without carrier gear. The last of these was delivered to Athens in 1977. Greece also purchased 6 twin-seat trainers, 2 serving with each of the 3 Corsair squadrons. The trainers were delivered in 1980. Since delivery of the Greek planes, Vought's production has been limited. They have worked as subcontractors, producing assemblies for Boeing and McDonnell Douglas, among others, and undertaken some systems installation and assembly work. Together with other companies, they have also teamed to develop helicopter designs. Unlike the specially constructed Greek planes, the Portuguese aircraft, designated A7P, were refurbished ex-US Navy A7As. They had a more powerful engine and A7E standard navigation and weapons delivery systems. The last of these modernized A7s was delivered to Portugal in 1984. The Corsair has, despite its age, refused to die. On the 7th of May, 1987, a U.S. Air Force contract was issued to upgrade 2 A7Ds to a new standard for testing. These Corsairs had already received several updates during their careers, including a sophisticated low-altitude night attack system. The outstanding thing about the new specification was that as part of an extensive rebuilding, the planes were to emerge as supersonic for the first time. The Air Force is seeking an improvement in its air-to-ground support capability, and the list of modifications specified is long and impressive. It is yet another tribute to the fine airframe that the Corsair II is still regarded as worthy of major modification. If the trials are successful, it is expected that over 300 of the now venerable planes will be rebuilt to fly on into the next century.